The NFL has the best playoffs. Other sports championships happen over a series. They have to play 4, 5, or sometimes 7 games to decide a champion. In the NFL, it's do or die. 1 game. Because of that, we get awesome moments, more upsets, and the unlikeliest of heroes. Today, we break down the 10 greatest performances in Super Bowl history. Nick Foles, Super Bowl 52. On December 10, 2017, the Philadelphia Eagles thought their Super Bowl season was over, as Carson Wentz laid helpless on the gridiron. After a Nick Foles-led Eagles team lost 6-0 to the Cowboys, they thought worse. Little did they know that Foles was about to win as home underdogs in the playoffs twice to make Super Bowl 52. Against the Brady-led Patriots, Foles put together the greatest game of his life. But it would take a leap of faith and a little Philly special to pull it off. On 4th and goal, the Eagles called a trick play that had Nick Foles catching the first pass of his career for a touchdown. The Pats scored quickly out of halftime, and it would take a perfect pass to Corey Clement with 3 Patriots defenders draped all over him from Nick Foles to stay in front. Foles was winning the greatest game of horse we'd ever seen. With 5 minutes left, the Pats took their first lead. Down in the Super Bowl, Nick Foles clutched it. They converted a second 4th down conversion. Foles threw dimes in the tightest windows, and with 2 minutes left, Foles hit Ertz for the game-winning touchdown. For one night, Nick Foles was Buster Douglas to Brady's Mike Tyson. He threw for 373 yards and 3 touchdowns as he outdueled the GOAT himself. Doug Williams, Super Bowl 22. By the time we said Doug Williams, the Washington Redskins were already down 10-0 in Super Bowl 22. Doug was hurt in the process, taking a nasty freak fall. To top it off, no team had ever come back from double digits in the Super Bowl. This amazing performance came alive on the first play of the second quarter, when Williams uncorked a deep ball to Ricky Sanders. All of a sudden, a monsoon hit the Broncos. Doug Williams could not miss. His next big play went back to Ricky Sanders, who was galloping across the field behind the defense when Williams hit him perfectly in stride. The 35-yard bomb was followed by a teardrop touchdown on the next drive. In 1 quarter, Doug Williams completed 9 of his 11 passes for 228 yards and 4 touchdowns. In the blink of an eye, Washington went from bleak to champion. He finished the game with 340 yards passing on just 18 completions. That's almost 19 yards per completion. Not only was his play historic, but Doug Williams became the first African-American quarterback to start and win a Super Bowl. That day, Doug Williams inspired a nation. Von Miller, Super Bowl 50. There have only been 10 defensive players to win a Super Bowl MVP, and our next performance is the best of all. Von Miller dominated the playoffs, and Super Bowl 50 was his coronation day. On the first 3rd down of the game, Miller blew past a Panther blocker and literally took the ball from Cam Newton. The strip sack fell right into Malik Jackson's hands for a Bronco touchdown. Carolina's offense couldn't move the ball, and it was single-handedly because of Von Miller. He knocked down a would-be touchdown in coverage. He spun around blockers for sacks. They even tried to throw a screen, and Miller ran across the field and tackled the receiver. They should have renamed the game to Super Bowl 58, because Miller was everywhere. It was only fitting that he made the game-winning play. He bent around the edge and punched the ball out of Newton's hands once more, and his second strip sack led to a game-clinching score. Miller was named Super Bowl MVP with 6 tackles, 2.5 sacks, a pass defense, and 2 forced fumbles. Von Miller's defensive performance was once in a lifetime. Phil Simms, Super Bowl 21. Before he was calling games on CBS, Phil Simms was a Super Bowl winning quarterback for the New York Giants. As one of the most underrated passers to lace him up, Simms went off in Super Bowl 21. The ball simply didn't touch the ground. On the opening drive, Simms diced up the Broncos and threw a touchdown. But it wouldn't be until the second half that Sims really took it into another gear. With a 1-point game hanging in the balance, they opened with a fake punt, and Sims threw his second touchdown. It didn't matter the location, route, receiver, or situation. The results were all the same. Phil Sims' completion. A flea flicker became the scene of Super Bowl 21. They were absolutely pouring it on. Sims finished the game completing 22 of 25 passes, and get this, 2 passes were dropped. It was just all going Sims' way. Even a perfect pass bounced off one receiver and into another's hands. Similar to his temperature, Sims had a 150.1 passer rating, a Super Bowl record. Sims threw 3 touchdowns to just 3 incompletions. Bill Parcells called it the greatest passing performance he'd ever seen. While the Big Blue Wrecking Crew of the Giants' defense gets a lot of the credit, without Sims' masterful performance, the Giants don't win their first championship. And we never get to hear him say, "I'm going to Disneyland." Joe Montana, Super Bowl 24. Joe Montana's 4th and final Super Bowl championship would be his best. The biggest blowout in Super Bowl history came off of Montana's arm and the Niners' stingy defense. Montana dotted the Broncos on the first drive, hitting Rice in between defenders as he scored. That's pretty much how this entire game went. The Broncos just couldn't touch Montana as he hit the perfect read over and over. The final was 55-10. I mean, let's be real, it wasn't even close. The nail was in the coffin before the end of the first half, when Montana hit Rice in the end zone again with only seconds left on the clock. Montana threw 13 straight completions. Before they blinked, it was 34-3. When he got it right back, Montana made one of the best plays of his career. He pumped to his left, completely fooling the defense and Hall of Famer Steve Atwater, leaving the middle of the field wide open for a touchdown bomb to Jerry Rice. It was just the cherry on top. Montana didn't even play in the fourth quarter, so in just 3 quarters, Joe Cool shredded Denver for 300 yards and 5 touchdowns before taking a bow. With him at the helm, they scored an NFL record 8 touchdowns. His 5 touchdown passes were the record at the time. Montana was named Super Bowl MVP and entered the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks with his 4th Super Bowl victory. Marcus Allen, Super Bowl 18. The Oakland Raiders opened with a big lead on the Washington Redskins in Super Bowl 18, but it was Marcus Allen that closed the door on them. Even when the Redskins knew he was getting the ball, they just couldn't stop it. Allen cut back on a designed run as he slipped out of 3 would-be tacklers for his first score. On the last play of the third quarter, Allen took the ball and veered to the left sideline before the defense converged on it. He stopped and reversed the field before finding a seam right down the middle. Allen hit it and breezed into the end zone. On came Marcus Allen, running in the night, became the famous words as he crossed the goal line, destroying any hope the Skins had of coming back. The 74-yard scamper stood as the longest run in Super Bowl history for 22 years. He had one final awesome run, a 39-yard gash that set up the Raiders' final score of the night. Marcus Allen broke the super rushing record, running for 191 yards and 2 game-clinching touchdowns on only 20 attempts. Even when multiple Raiders broke Super Bowl records, it was Allen's historic night that won the Super Bowl MVP trophy. This made Allen the only player to win a Heisman, a national championship, a Super Bowl, and a Super Bowl MVP. He was one of a kind, and Super Bowl 18 proved it. Tom Brady, Super Bowl 51. As Tom sat on the bench, head down and the cameras on him, not many people thought we were about to see the greatest comeback of all time. With 8 minutes and 31 seconds remaining in the third quarter, the score sat 28-3. Brady calmly walked the Patriots down the field and scored, and again, and again. I mean, how impossibly good was Brady? Brady was sacked 6 times and hit nearly every play. Despite that, in the second half, Brady was perfect on conversion downs. In 6 tries, including a 4th down completion, Brady converted to 5 different players. Down 16 with 10 minutes left, a sack fumble put Brady back on the field to throw his 2nd touchdown and make it an 8-point game. Brady started 64 yards away and down 8 points with hope hanging in the balance. And the GOAT did GOAT things. With an out-of-this-world assist by Julian Edelman, Brady's Patriots officially erased the 25-point deficit. Brady opened the first-ever Super Bowl overtime 75 yards away and made the championship drive look effortless. In just the second half and overtime, Brady threw for 244 yards and 2 touchdowns, had a clutch scoring drive, manufactured the game-winning touchdown, and sealed the fate of the greatest comeback ever. In his own words, "We'll never forget what happened that night." Timmy Smith, Super Bowl 22. Ever heard of the phrase, the one-hit wonder? Well, it should really be called the Timmy Smith. Timmy Smith didn't even know he was going to be the Redskins running back until he started warming up for the Super Bowl. Down 10-0 after a quarter, the thought of Timmy Smith being a Super Bowl hero was unfeasible. But do you remember that all-time quarter from the Redskins quarterback Doug Williams on this list? Timmy Smith was just as important, and even more brilliant. As announcers were still saying his name with a question mark at the end, the quote-unquote nobody needed a license plate the way he was trucking people. With 2 blockers in front of him, Timmy Smith ran the counter to perfection that day. Every time he got the ball, he exploded through massive lanes and into the open field, decisively sidestepping and plowing over Broncos defenders. A 58-yard touchdown scamper along the sidelines ended with Timmy Smith doing the cabbage patch on the biggest stage of them all. In just the first half, Timmy had more rushing yards than he had in his entire career. In the second half, he leapt into the end zone again and was closing in on Marcus Allen's all-time rushing record. After having 29 total carries in his career, Smith finished Super Bowl 22 with 22 carries for 204 yards and 2 touchdowns. Smith etched his name into Super Bowl lore, setting the rushing yards record that still stands today. Jerry Rice, Super Bowl 23. There was no one quite like Jerry Rice, and there was no one that could guard him in Super Bowl 23. It was Rice alone that kept the stumbling Niners moving the chains, repeatedly making jaw-dropping one-handed receptions and tough grabs over defenders. Despite San Fran being held out the end zone for 3 quarters, Rice caught over half of their passing yards. Even double-teamed, Rice still dashed across the middle and made acrobatic grabs. His 31-yard gain at the end of the third quarter sparked the Niners for a final quarter explosion. The Bengals were doing everything they could to Rice, and he just kept making legendary plays. He raced down the sideline, leaping in for the Niners' first score. But it was the final possession, down 3, that Rice became immortalized. Every crucial moment went to number 80. Rice caught a slant over the middle and blew past the triple coverage into the open field. The pass made him the only player to have 200 yards receiving in a Super Bowl, and it also gave the Niners a chance to win. The most dominant receiving performance we've ever seen. Rice finished Super Bowl 23 with a record 11 receptions for 215 yards. Rice added a Super Bowl MVP to his many accolades, one of only 7 receivers to ever win the trophy. While we all know Jerry Rice is a one of one, the number 1 Super Bowl performance of all time goes to another 49er great. Steve Young, Super Bowl 29. After 3 All-Pro regular seasons, there was only one thing that kept Steve Young in Joe Montana's shadow: a Super Bowl ring. Not only did Steve Young get rid of the thought that he couldn't win the big one in Super Bowl 29, he decided to blow away some records in the process. He opened up firing, hitting Jerry Rice on a 44-yard strike for the quickest touchdown in Super Bowl history at the time. Less than 2 minutes later, Young had the ball back in his hand, throwing another picture-perfect dart. This time he hit Ricky Watters on a 51-yard explosion in his second touchdown pass. Moments into the second, another touchdown hit William Floyd perfectly in the end zone. And perfect might just be the best word for this performance. Young dodged rushers, ran when he needed, and dotted up the field. Young tossed 4 touchdowns in the first half. Steve Young dropped back, with Chargers rushers bearing down on him, and unloaded a bullet pass to Rice. With no margin for error, Young's 5th touchdown pass hit Rice perfectly in stride. He would even find Rice one more time in the end zone. Young's 6th touchdown broke Montana's Super Bowl touchdown record. Young belonged with the greatest players to ever play the game, and Super Bowl 29 absolutely proved it. He was as golden as the helmet on his head, throwing for 325 yards and 6 touchdowns, putting together the greatest Super Bowl performance of all time. So, there you guys have it, the all-time best Super Bowl performances ever. Was there anybody that I left off of this list? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Thanks for stopping by. As always, this has been another non-stop sports banger. We'll catch you next time.